Today on the TMZ Podcast.
Welcome to the TMZ Podcast. Harvey Levin here.
Katie here.
And Jason.
So, Kris Jenner poked the bear. Oh, did she? She was on James Corden last week, and they asked this staged question, were you, did you have anything to do with a sex tape? Ooh. And she said no, and she passed.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she came off as truthful when you watch it.
Well,
I thought.
Dude, it's one question.
Yeah.
There are other questions to ask if you're serious.
Understood.
Ray J answered them.
In a 45-minute video clip.
I got to tell you, when you watch this, it is revelatory. Because remember, the party line in the Kardashian family is Kris had nothing to do with it. Kim had nothing to do with it. The sex tape was released. She was horrified. She sued. They settled with Vivid Entertainment, the company that released it, which didn't make a lot of sense because then the tape stayed in the market.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So if she sued and all, but anyway, that's the party line. Ray J says bullshit. Ray J says that number one, there were two sex tapes, one shot in Cabo, one shot in Santa Barbara, and that Kris looked at both, picked the one where Kim looked the best, and then said, that's the one. Then he says
Can
that...
we stop there?
Yeah, we
Sure.
should stop there and discuss.
We can stop there.
The mom is reviewing the sex tape frame by frame to see how good her daughter looks.
Hey, she's
In
got to find those good
comparison.
angles for
I mean,
her daughter.
this
No,
is,
again, I'm not.
That's
This is
disturbing.
what Ray J's saying.
I'm not owning it, but
Right.
this is
Right.
what Ray J's saying.
If true, well, look, we get it. They are all about money. They are all about increasing their fame. They have been for a long period of time.
No. Don't say increasing their fame. This is a case where they had no fame.
Oh, making
No, but
themselves
that's
famous.
really
Yeah, it is.
important.
And
That's
she-
really important.
I mean, that is a level of.
That's a level of mother-daughter closeness that most families will never accomplish. But
Now
that's
remember, the
crazy.
backdrop of this was Paris Hilton's sex tape, which was enormously profitable for Paris and Rick
Yes.
Solomon.
Right.
Tens of millions of dollars.
Yes.
And they were struggling some. So
The Kardashians were. They were struggling some. Yeah.
Well, when she was married, because I remember when we did Celebrity Justice, which was 2002 to 2005, there was a story we did. There was a lawsuit that Amex filed against Kris and Bruce at the time, saying that they owed $100,000 on their Amex card and didn't pay. And remember, too, that one of the things with Ray J is his sister, Brandy, and their mom alleged that the Kardashians stole $120,000 off of their Amex card that Kim and others used.
So they're in financial straits at this point. We know that to some degree. They're being sued for money that they allegedly owe.
Now, the second part of this is that Ray J says when Kim says that she had nothing to do with it, again, he says bullshit because he points to the contract that he signed. He says Kim signed one too. But on his contract, there is an inventory list of 3 tapes. One is an intro tape in Cabo, one is a sex tape in Cabo, and the third is a sex tape in Santa Barbara.
And that's really important because the Kardashians in their brand new TV show on Hulu did a whole storyline about how Kim was 99% sure there wasn't 99.9%. Yeah, she had to leave a little room there for
Well, we're going to get
wiggle room.
into we're going to get into that because that's the second angle to this thing. But the handwriting, Ray J says, on the inventory list on his contract is Kim's handwriting. And he then gives he has a side-by-side where he shows what Kim's handwriting looks like, and you compare it against what's in the sex tape contract.
Proving that assuming what he's saying is true, that she was
in on
not
it.
only aware, she was writing these things out and inventorying them. Yeah.
Not just writing it out and inventorying them, but it seems to suggest she signed her own contract too.
Hardcore forensic evidence. He really got into it. Ray J really, I mean, you cannot.
He really got into
into this.
You can see how he would have been livid about this. He's made to seem like he's, wrapped up in this scheme somehow, and he's saying, and they're just lying. They're lying about themselves, lying about me. They're making me look like a bad guy, which I know we're going to get into some more. But good God, good for Ray J Now, I worry that Ray J has breached his confidentiality agreements in these contracts, and I don't know if they're going to come after him or not, because there's no doubt that he had confidentiality clauses in these contracts.
Well, is the confidentiality with Vivid or with Kim?
I would think with Kim. Vivid doesn't care.
Well, you could argue that Kim has breached it by saying she didn't participate in it.
Well, I'm not sure.
In other words, if you speak out about it,
you open the door for Ray J. Yeah, we'd have to see what the contract says, but yes.
Let's talk as a practical matter. You really think the Kardashians are going to sue because then their contract comes out?
Right.
So that's not going to happen.
Right.
So let's talk about why Ray J's so pissed off. He is still angry about season 1 of the Hulu show, the first episode, Katie, what you were talking about.
Yeah, where they did this whole storyline, and Kanye went to, Kim said there wasn't a second sex tape. She sent Kanye to get this computer that possibly it was on. I mean, they built their whole storyline around it. She gets the computer, it's not there, everything's fine, there's no second sex tape. Well, now Ray J's saying...
Well, that's not what's pissing him off. What's pissing him off is that she said, well, that 0.01%, I don't know, maybe he shoved a dildo up my butt when I was sleeping.
That's right.
That's assault. And this is what Ray J said.
And now I can sue it for exactly like what you doing, lying. Let's get to the facts of what happened. Let's get to the facts of the timeline of when it happened. So all that crying that you did was all fake. All the stuff you said, all the people you lied to all around the world, all the important people that gave you deals, like that you cried in their bathroom and shit, like that shit was, you sent them on a ride, yo.
I mean, look, it was a suggestion. But to your point, going back to the first thing we were talking about, she knows there's a second sex tape. She knows what's in it. For her to suggest there maybe a 0.01% chance there is one because maybe Ray J raped her while she was sleeping is absurd. And I get why he is so angry about this. It makes a lot of sense, and I would be pissed off too.
And it's almost shocking he didn't come out back then. But I think the thing with Kris was the final straw. He just, I mean, when you listen to this video, he unloads.
He's unleashing for almost an hour.
Minutes.
I mean, 45-minute video with forensic accounting.
Yes.
I mean, that's the part that I was like, oh my goodness, he is angry.
He lays out a compelling case. I mean,
he does. And why do they keep bringing it up? Let it go.
Oh, well, we know why. They were launching this new show on Hulu, right? They wanted a huge bang when they launched it, and they got it, right? Everybody was talking about this in the days immediately afterwards. The ratings for the show were huge, at least in season 1. I don't know if it continues to track. But
well, now season 2's coming out, so I guess that's why she's back out there peddling it.
It was huge in season 1, and they got everything they wanted out of this leak of this phantom sex tape. So, they got what they wanted, as they always do, and now Ray J's pissed off and going after them.
Yeah, that's true.
They owe him an apology, honestly. If what he's saying is true, they owe him an apology.
So, what do you guys make of this thing with the royals, that Harry and William came together? I've got a bunch of different conflicting opinions about it.
Do you buy it?
I'm asking you.
I don't buy it. I think they're doing a very nice job to set the scene that they have come back together in some sort of kumbaya over the grandmother's death. I think and good for them for doing it. But I don't believe there's any thawing in the relationship between them. I'm
going to give them a little thawing. I think in times of grieving, right, they have to, the two brothers have to come together, and the family has to, even if it's just for 5 minutes, all look at each other and be like, oh man, this is sad, let's come together. I'll give them a little bit. I'll give them a little bit.
So let me give you a scenario. You and Jason are brother and sister.
Oh,
okay? And a very close relative passes on. Okay? You didn't get along, but the passing relative wants you to get along. And so
we'll call him Uncle Harvey.
So
Uncle Harvey's passed along.
you show up for the funeral. Okay, and you're very, you're presenting.
Yeah.
But Jason's writing a memoir, and you are pissed off that the memoir is being written. So are you really coming back together with him?
Okay, maybe I'm not thawing for 30 seconds.
By the way, the memoir is going to say some pretty nasty things about you, Katie.
I don't want to read that memoir.
No, but that's the point, right?
Yeah,
I mean, William knows this memoir is being written, right?
Yep.
He's seen the Oprah interview, right?
Yeah.
Harry fled, right?
Yeah.
And there are these allegations, which frankly I believe, but allegations that he made public that somebody in the royal family commented on the color of Archie's skin.
Yep.
Right.
And that there are a lot of people who think that Harry was pointing either at William or Charles. May not have been them, but a lot of people were saying it. So how much?
How do you get over that and actually have a thought? How do you get over that and do anything except present a united front? I think there's real love between William and Harry that goes back a long time. I think they're very angry at each other, and William's very angry at Harry. But I don't think you can just set that aside. I think it's lingering there. I think there's obviously a lot of resentment towards Meghan, rightly or wrongly, a huge amount of resentment towards Meghan. I don't think Kate and Meghan have any sort of a closeness in their relationship whatsoever. I think these are people walking through the motions to put on a good face for their grandmother and to honor her legacy. And they all, by all accounts, love her dearly, and she was good to all of them.
She's the glue.
But haven't you ever been so mad at someone, but you have such a history with them that for like a couple minutes or 5 minutes or 10 minutes, something happens that like brings you two back to that place where you remember the good in each other.
Yeah.
And you can set it aside. You can set it aside.
Permanently?
Okay. Maybe not permanently. There has to be some work done, but for this period in time, maybe it was an hour, maybe it was a day, maybe they set it aside. And you have those good feelings. And then ultimately that's what makes you work to get back together in a good space with that person, right? Like it can happen for sure. This could be what brings them back together.
Okay, so let's get back to the memoir then. So you would think in this memoir, since, what Harry and Meghan have been saying is that this was impossible for Meghan. She wasn't treated properly. There was a measure of racism in it, sexism in it, the whole thing. That when Harry writes this memoir, it's going to be critical of the royal family in various degrees, and that William is now the heir to the throne.
Right.
And so it looms bigger because he's the heir to the throne. Does he take that more personally now?
How could he not? He's got to take it more personally now. He's got to be more worried about what it's going to say. And ultimately, the memoir has got to say bad things about the royal family, or the publisher's not going to buy the memoir, right? It's got to say something that's revelatory about and dysfunctional about the dysfunction within the royal family. That's the only thing that's going to sell books. And it's got, now that he's the heir to the throne, and his father is not a young man either, and never been a particularly healthy man either. To the extent it matters, it may be sooner rather than later. I don't see Charles living to 96. I think William is very invested in taking the throne and keeping the royal family.
And if Harry throws a monkey wrench in it,
yeah, it could be traumatizing.
That being said, he's still going to be king no matter what's written in that book. So he could also just be like, well, write whatever you want because I'm still getting all the jewels.
Yes.
But the family itself is not necessarily really secure. There are all sorts of
people
issues.
want a republic.
Yeah, they're pretty secure though, right? I mean, William's going to be
the one that's never talked about is the enormous financial boon the royal family is to that country. Like if you look about it, they make billions of dollars in revenue because people come to see the Buckingham Palace stuff and all the royal stuff, and people want to dismantle it. Be careful, Britain, what you ask for. It's very profitable for you to have the royal family.
You're making it sound more like Barnum and Bailey than the royal family.
It is. I mean,
yeah. Right.
Okay. Britney Spears. She was torn up over the weekend on social media, saying that a piece of her has died over the estrangement with her children, blames it on Kevin Federline for doing an interview, says that she once had 70% custody. I don't know about that. I know she had 50-50 after the conservatorship started, but she has gone back and forth like a swinging pendulum, from calling the kids hateful, saying that they were money grubbing and the gravy train was going to leave the station, to now saying that she's heartbroken.
This was really hard to listen to, right? I mean, this was just so sad. This is just a mother who's like, I don't understand why my children won't see me. This is like, my heart has been ripped out of my chest. This was, I felt just a lot of sadness listening to this.
I felt tremendous sadness.
Yeah.
Both for Britney, for what she's gone through, and also for the kids who have had to deal with this bizarre relationship between their husband, their father and their mother. And I found that it was hard to listen to Britney's comments, both for the sadness that she had and also for this slightly unhinged way in which she was saying it.
So let's get into the unhinged way. So, look, this conservatorship began for a reason. right? I mean, there was a reason back in 2007 when this thing started why they ended up getting a conservatorship and doctors examined her and everything else. So look, and there's no shame in it. I mean, you don't choose to have issues, mental struggles or whatever, you just get them.
Right.
And so if that's the case, and if she's kind of, if this lingers, what I found really interesting, we put a poll up on the website over the weekend. We do these 9 polls every weekend just to take the temperature of people to see what they think. And it has radically shifted with Britney since the conservatorship ended. Yeah. That there was this huge outpouring of support for Britney. This time it was like 66% thought it was shameful that she had gone after the kids.
Right.
That's really interesting because a lot of those people are people who were saying the conservatorship was bullshit. It should never have started in the first place. It was awful.
Yeah.
Right.
And some of those very people are the ones who are now saying it's shameful what she's doing. But if what she's doing is just a measure of what you called unhinged, it's kind of hypocritical on the part of people.
Although we've now seen, it may be that people's minds have just changed, right? Because I think we all saw that she was in this awful conservatorship, and Jamie seems like, by all accounts, to have done some real disservice to Britney in the later years of the conservatorship. And so it's one thing to want her out of the conservatorship. Now that we've seen her free of any restraints, we don't always like what we see, right? It's a little scary, honestly, the way that she's...
But where's the empathy?
Well, it's really hard when you see an adult with their children not being the adult in the situation.
I understand that.
And that's what's hard, no matter what the if there's mental illness there, it's really hard to watch an adult not be an adult when it comes to your children. And that's why people lose empathy, because you're like, hey, these are kids.
Right, but if there's an issue that causes that, and people, I mean,
you can be empathetic that she suffers from mental issues, emotional issues. Certainly, she does. I don't think anybody disputes that Britney's got some things happening inside of her head that aren't quite totally normal. But you know, to Katie's point, when you go after the kids, when you don't seem to be in line with your kids, and you don't seem to really want to do the things necessary to get your kids liking you again, it's problematic. I found her comment about her. It's very sad. I found her comment about her father. Really, I mean, it's telling in so many ways when she says that she prays that he's going to burn in hell. That's a level of hate that you don't usually hear come out of people's mouths. I mean, she's by all accounts, Britney's a God-fearing woman. And for her to pray that her father burns in hell for all eternity is something.
It is. Okay, so, God, I disagree with Aaron Rodgers on COVID.
Yeah.
I'm an Aaron Rodgers fan, though. I really am. And I mean, and it's funny because it seems like you're not supposed to say that, but I am. And the reason I am is just because what I like about this guy, and again, I disagree with him on the COVID issue, but Aaron Rodgers is a thinker, and you may not agree with everything he thinks and says, but he's a thinker, and he is not pressured by this ridiculous social media, which I mean, I don't know. Social media to me is just ruining this country, and just the idea that, I mean, you know, I'm sorry for going back in time, but there are these idiots on social media now that are attacking William because he wasn't holding Kate's hand when Harry was holding Meghan's hand.
Right.
It's like, just, you know, are you just looking to criticize no matter what?
Clearly,
yes, of course.
Yeah, and that's all social media is. He doesn't care. And he's a very public figure, and he gets just lambasted by, you know, social media all the time, and he just doesn't care. So he was on Bill Maher and on his random podcast. And, you know, Bill is the same way. He doesn't care. And the two of them, I think together, just so fascinating. This is one of the things that they talked about.
Abortion's been a hot topic, right? And especially after Roe v. Wade got overturned and sent back to the states or whatever. I don't believe the government should have any control over what we do with our bodies.
No.
So as much as I might lean more pro-life, I don't want the government telling me I can't smoke a cigar, I can't have a drink of alcohol, I can't choose my own medical decisions. And if I'm a woman, don't fucking tell me what to do. Like, whether or not I agree with what you decide to do, who cares? And the government should not have a decision that infringes upon my own personal freedoms.
This was a real roller coaster ride for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell me.
Because when he first said, he's like, I don't think the government should have control over our bodies. I was like, yeah. And then he's like, even though I lean pro-life. And I was like, boo.
Wait. No. You should yay that. And I'll
no, I shouldn't, because there's no need to go on and say that.
Let me tell you why. There is a huge need to do it, because what's happened is both sides villainize each other. And what Aaron Rodgers seems to be saying is he leans toward pro-life, but that's his point of view, that he thinks other people, even if he disagrees with them, should have the freedom to choose. Isn't that the win?
I just didn't.
Isn't that the win?
I mean, no, because I think by even just saying that, you're saying I'm pro-life, which means that no matter what, you should deliver a baby.
Well, no.
And I think by putting that out there, then you're saying like, hey, I believe this, so like no matter what, this is. That's why I said it was a roller coaster ride, because then he did go on to say women should have a right to choose. But I just think by him like inserting his viewpoint kind of makes people go, oh, well, Aaron Rodgers believes like.
Well, no, but Aaron Rodgers is saying
baby no matter what.
But that's his personal opinion, and he's saying I will respect the opinion of others even if I disagree. Isn't that the way we should be talking?
I respect Aaron Rodgers in a lot of ways because he's very authentic, right? He does not, he is a libertarian. He believes government should get out of the way, regardless of what anybody's personal choices are, government should get out of the way. And I respect that because he truly believes it and he's authentic. Here's my issue with Aaron Rodgers. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is nearly as smart as Aaron Rodgers thinks he is. That's my problem.
Maybe.
But he's got, and maybe, and so what? Who am I to make that call? But he goes on these various podcasts and he says things that are just kind of dumb sometimes.
But is this one dumb?
No, this one's okay. This one doesn't bother me.
Well, no. But I mean,
Katie's point. But if we're sticking with his comments on pro-life, he's saying, look, I guess what he's saying, just and try to interpret it, translates. I don't mean to say that. Try to interpret it. I think what he's saying is, in my life, if it was me and my girlfriend or my wife, I would strongly encourage her never to have an abortion. I don't believe
we didn't say never.
For himself. I'm pro-life. Well, maybe not
pro-life
never,
means never
no,
delivering a baby no matter what. No, that is pro-life.
Katie, let me ask you a question. What would you think about a woman 8.5 months pregnant having an abortion?
Depends on the circumstance.
It definitely depends on the circumstance.
Definitely depends on the circumstance.
8.5 months.
Depends on the circumstance, Harvey. If the mother's in danger of dying.
Or the child is going to be stillborn.
Right. If the
mother's in danger of dying.
Suppose they're not.
Well, these are all hypothetical questions that you can't answer.
No,
this is the whole problem. This is the problem.
There's a reason I'm raising it. If somebody just says, I don't want to have this baby after 8.5 months.
No, but that doesn't happen.
Hold on. But what you're missing is this.
See, this is the point, though, because that doesn't happen, and then people throw out all these hypothetical situations, and you can't answer it. It's individual. That's the problem.
Here's the problem. That both sides, there's no absolute here. That if you read Roe versus Wade, it is not a woman's right to choose. It's not. They have a very specific thing. Here's what happens in the first trimester. Here's what happens in the second trimester. Here's what happens in the third trimester. So there are restrictions on abortion in Roe versus Wade. It's just, personally, I think they're reasonable restrictions. But there are restrictions, so it's not an all or nothing thing. So if somebody is pro-choice, that doesn't mean that anybody can have an abortion for any of the 9 months. You would still have some restrictions. And similarly, people who are pro-life, that doesn't mean at the point of conception they wouldn't allow contraception or they wouldn't allow, the morning after pill or anything like that. It's just, where do you draw the line? And I don't think by listening to Aaron Rodgers, he's saying, I don't know how he truly feels, but that doesn't mean he's against contraception. He's against the morning after pill. He may not even be against, an abortion 2 months in. I have no idea, but it's not an absolute on either side. Well, I think by recognizing, he kind of recognized that by saying, look, that's not me, but if somebody else makes that choice, I'm going to respect it.
But I think he is absolute in the opposite direction. Based on him saying the government should never tell a woman what to do with her body, he does say the word never there. To me, he would say abortion's fine up to 8 months.
Maybe.
Right? I mean, else he's somewhat inconsistent.
Could say that if he says a woman, if the woman always has the right to choose, government should have nothing to do with it, then he should be fine with no matter what.
But he's saying his personal view is he has a problem with it. But in terms of the government, he doesn't want them involved in it.
It was just interesting to me that he's stuck in his personal view.
But his absolutes are what make him not as smart as he thinks. Like, I don't think anybody would say that a woman should be able to do lines of cocaine while pregnant. That should be illegal. But Aaron Rodgers, he doesn't make allowances for things.
But do you
like
understand
that.
when people scream "my body, my choice"? That's not Roe versus Wade.
Oh, yeah. So we get that.
Right. But there are the absolutes on both sides are just not reality.
But Aaron Rodgers goes on for a hugely long podcast. I think it was a couple of hours long, and he's making all these points. But like his point about COVID, he said, I think the COVID restrictions were ridiculous. Folks up in Chico, California, where I'm from, it's a small town, didn't really have bad COVID, but it shut down all the businesses. Do you know how 700 and some thousand Californians, were stricken by COVID? Hundreds of thousands died. He doesn't discuss that.
I agree with you. I mean, listen, I'm not saying he's the smartest guy in the world, but you don't have to be
authentic.
But he's good looking, right?
And he's good looking.
Although,
I'll give him that.
Just one thing to button this on. He played yesterday, had one of the worst games of his career, and they lost to a team that Green Bay lost to the Minnesota Vikings, and it was 24-3 or something like that. It was a disaster.
Okay, so
maybe coming to an end.
So now we got to go to Bill Maher and say, "Did you get Aaron high on the Club Random podcast?"
Yeah, that's probably it.
Okay, we'll see you tomorrow, everybody.